Dr. Gape? Jesus.
Shazam.
I mean, a better name than Cum Man, but the same character, basically.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
Better name than Cum Man, though. Shazam is good, yeah. They all have to be, like, porn abilities.
Or just, like, famous guys from porn.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Right.
Like the hair of Ron Jeremy.
Ron Jeremy. Yeah, that's the hair you'd want. Yeah.
It's just all over your body.
All body, no skull.
Welcome, residents of the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and across from me is the doctor himself.
Hello. Good Lord.
Not sure how much of that I can use, but some of it.
I'd at least cut out the one.
The one that got us there.
Yeah, I would cut out the inception of that idea.
Sure. I mean, we're talking porn. Incestion. Instead of inception.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Someone must have made that.
Huh.
As a porn parody?
Yeah, I mean, beyond the name, though, I don't know what you do.
Well, but here's my pitch for it.
Okay.
You keep talking about how many steps in the dream you are. I'm 2 step dreams down. That's incestion.
Fuck yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
By the way.
Stepbrother, I'm 2 dream steps in. I'm stuck in the 3rd dream step.
Yeah.
Is this one too many steps?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But every once in a while, still, a run-a-train goes through the dream.
She just keeps spinning and spinning.
I hate that this is what I'm good at.
I mean, yeah, this is what we did in our marketing agency.
I know, but why am I good at this?
Fucking hotshots, baby. It's just... it's all we're good at. Each week we talk about the weird and wonderful world, I think, of DC, while fielding questions from listeners like you.
Yeah, whatever, if we feel like it.
I don't know, on occasion.
I want to talk about Dr. Gabe.
Gabe's McFappin.
A joke that didn't make it to, I think, the cold open was I said he should still be an archaeologist, but he opens the tomb and he finds a mummy with its legs above its head. Dr. Gabe. Yeah.
What's boobs?
Oh, like the spirit in it? Yeah, it's got to be boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
simple.
That's simple, but I think it works.
What's the ghost of raw dogging? And yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, the orb of raw dogging.
Yeah, the orb of raw dogging
turns Rex Mason into fetishamorpho. That would need some workshop.
Yeah. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
We won't give you names, but we'll give you this.
I think this is good, right?
This is better.
This is like, hey, this is episode 460. This is where we're at.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Just fucking
get on board.
Get on board or get out of the way.
It was really funny. My girlfriend and I were talking today about this podcast. And
I'm concerned about how often you start a conversation that way. Like, I feel like you're doing yourself damage by talking about this podcast so much with your girlfriend.
Because she asks questions.
Right.
Like, and she's like, what are you guys talking about? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't know.
Probably Dr. Gabe.
Yeah. I was just like, I don't really know. And we were talking about like the Patreon and stuff like that. And I can't remember how it came up. But it said something along the lines of like that. Oh, because she was like, do people ever get like upset with you guys for like not like being accurate or anything like that? And I was like, I mean, they used to, but those people are kind of long gone.
I think some people still do, but also get on board or get out of the way.
She was like, but like, isn't the idea of the podcast to like talk about like those things? I'm like, well, the idea is more of like giving you a general sense of what happened so that you can get more into comics.
Yeah, and also someone else is just gonna change it later. Like, let's not get too hung up on it.
Yeah, it's never like solidified.
Yeah, you know.
And she was like, she was like, is there anything else like that? And I was like, well, yeah, we also like tell jokes really just for us. I was like, there's a lot of other podcasts that worry about things like continuity and
Not us.
And she's like, you're not worried about people like being lost? I was like, I don't really think about them at all.
I mean, to be honest, yeah, I also don't think about them.
Yeah. What I told her was, I was like, look, the episodes with it's like a new character or like a character we haven't talked about before or like something complicated.
I still think overall the episodes are mostly sincere, but we'll just have a crazy diversion for like 7 minutes about something weird in between it. That's a fine way to do things.
Yeah. This episode 460 to explain what the podcast's really all about.
I think it's time for us to set the premise of the show.
She was like,
we've had 459 preview episodes.
Yes, yeah,
and
yeah.
now it's opening night.
Yeah, I think we can finally start recording.
Now we're
this.
locking it in.
She was like,
This is what the show is
I
now.
was like, do you guys ever like say like that it's not really about being like perfect? And I was like, nah, they'll get it. And she was like, so they have to like kind of listen to all of them to get that? I was like, yeah, basically.
Yeah. We make comics accessible, not our show.
I was like, yeah, she was like, I was like, it basically like, we just want people like, the idea is more of that it's like people like hanging out like they wouldn't. And she was like, didn't Reed the other day say like that like he sometimes is worried about the fans?
Oh. I don't know that I feel comfortable talking about that.
You're just like us.
I'm concerned that you're undoing your own relationship by talking about our podcast this much.
Look, all I know how to
My
do-
wife wants nothing to do with anything that we do.
Oh, we do, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I bring women who I don't want to date too close, and I push the ones who I do away.
Yeah, and that's good.
Yeah.
We got a better help ad this week, right?
This better help.
I'm still pissed we couldn't get promo code I'm fine. I wanted that so badly.
I mean, we never really asked.
Next time.
Yeah. Now we're more confident, and we've been in with this. We've been
Promo code I'm fine.
so good.
Oh, God.
So, Batman.
Yeah, this week we're talking about a specific Batman story. We're talking about Batman Cataclysm.
Yeah.
Which is when a giant, like 7.6 earthquake hits Gotham City.
Yeah.
It's a big story in a series of big sort of event stories. There was like Batman Contagion and then Legacy.
Because
and
like
then,
Shadow of the Bat is all the like overarching umbrella story.
No, here's the crazy, like
That's nice.
You read the first issue of Cataclysm.
Yes.
For this, you read Batman Shadow of the Bat number 73.
Yeah.
Truly, the first few parts of this like series, like the prelude is in an issue of Detective Comics. Then there's Batman Shadow of the Bat 73 is the first issue of this. Then it's an issue of Nightwing. Then it's an issue of Batman. God. Then it's an issue of Catwoman, and then it's an issue of Azrael. Like this event takes place over, I think, like 9 different books,
but all Gotham books.
Yeah. Robin, Azrael, Nightwing, Catwoman, Detective Comics, Batman, Batman Shadow of the Bat, a couple of specials. It's the sort of crossover event that I dislike, which is like it doesn't have a main title book. I'm fine with tie-ins, but it's like, let's just make Batman Cataclysm 1.
Yes.
You know, like
yes. And it makes it even fucking harder to like put together in your collection.
I mean, impossible.
Yeah.
But it's one thing if it's across only like 2 titles or something, but Cataclysm is across the entire Bat line.
Totally.
I mean, in a way, it sort of has to be because it's Gotham, but then I would still like make an event book and then just have tie-ins that I could, if I'm reading those books anyway, then I'll see how those books interact.
Totally.
But at any rate, Batman Cataclysm, it's in the middle of this string of sort of event kind of things that were happening in Batman, from Contagion, which is where like a plague was released and stuff like that, to Legacy, to Cataclysm, eventually to No Man's Land, the story
where it goes?
The story where Gotham gets basically kicked out of the United States and cut off.
Oh, that's
and
right.
And becomes like its own sort of like wasteland, like Escape from New York kind of situation. So Cataclysm's like basically the thing that sort of starts leading to No Man's Land. So I got you for this Cataclysm is too big to make you read all of it before an episode, but I did make you read Batman Shadow of the Bat 73. So technically part 1 of Cataclysm.
Sure.
Do you want to give the sort of the overall the overarch of the?
It's not much. It's
issue?
one issue. It's
just a
there was
single
an
issue.
earthquake, and we see Anarchy, who's caught together with Bullock,
with Detective Bullock, which is I think a good pairing actually.
Yeah. Oracle just kind of like falls over. Alfred's fucking polishing the silver, if you know what I mean.
Oh hell yeah.
And Batman gets like washed away.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like inside the Batcave.
The
whole fucking the manor collapses.
Yeah. So the big thing that we learn in this is that like there's this seismologist at the beginning of it, whose name I don't remember. But she's like, I've been warning people for years that Gotham's on a fault line, and everyone's like on the East Coast. And she's like, yep. Anyway, this fault line though like runs directly under Wayne Manor.
Yeah.
They sort of write like that's sort of why there's caves down there.
Yeah.
And so because of that, when the earthquake hits, the big one that even Bruce Wayne has been like worried about, because we learn, I think in that book, in the Oracle section, we learn that all like Wayne Enterprise buildings are rated to like 8.5 earthquake things. So they're basically earthquake indestructible.
Yeah.
Except that the manor never got like retrofitted and the cave didn't. And so the manor like falls into the cave.
Yeah.
Batman gets like washed away. Like one of the last panels of that issue is Batman like hanging by his cape like in a waterfall under the cave.
Yeah.
Alfred gets buried in rubble. But yeah, like Gotham City like gets fucked up. Like top to bottom, buildings falling over, and then like the gas lines start igniting and like catching fire. There are floods, water main breaks, all sorts of like horrible things happen. Like you said, this issue, because it's kicking off an event, we're sort of just getting little snippets, and because the earthquake only hits like halfway into it, there's not a ton in there. But from what you read, what do you perceive as like the next few chapters of Cataclysm? Sorry.
My guess is that it like is like, how does Gotham sort of like deal with the fact that there's like destruction and criminals everywhere?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that like a jail breaks open, or like
Absolutely.
yeah. I'm assuming Batman's unconscious and people don't know where he is, and
Yep, for a little bit. Yep,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Oracle has to like climb back onto her wheelchair.
She does. She gets out. She ends up being sort of the nerve center for the GCPD on like coordinating the emergency efforts and stuff like that.
Yeah, once Alfred's done polishing himself off, he gets to work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Batman does have to lift stuff off him. It does make me think a little bit of the like, Batman Begins, like, all those push-ups, you can't lift a bloody log.
Oh yeah. That's a good
scene. I do like
that. Yeah.
It's funny, like I complain about the format of this event being across like 9 titles.
Yeah.
But I would say the first 6 or 7 parts of this series are more or less seeing the initial moment of the earthquake from different perspectives.
Yeah.
They still act kind of like tie-ins almost. The Nightwing one is he's in Bloodhaven and then he hears what happens and he shows up. And it's him like saving this kid and stuff from a collapsing sinkhole kind of thing. The Robin one, Tim Drake is in Europe where he has been in a fight and has killed Lady Shiva and is trying to resuscitate her so he's not a killer.
But he killed her.
Yeah. Well, he was on like a drug. But and then he hears about it. He's like, fuck, I gotta go. You know, like Azrael is transporting Bane back to Gotham. He's captured Bane. And then the fucking earthquake happens. He's got to fucking catch Bane again. You know, like you do in these like first few things. It is a lot of like, and what was happening over here? And what was happening over here? Where's Gordon? Where's... You know, it's sort of just setting up where people are. Like, I think you're like 10 parts in before you even broach the idea of dealing with the, like, now what do we do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of just the immediate destruction and how you can't get in or out of Gotham because it's all on fire and all of this kind of shit. But it's pretty crazy. Like, I do like the premise of it. I like that it's a natural disaster story. You know, we talked about like Sub Diego before.
Yeah, what's the freezing one? The where everything like freezes over.
Oh, Endless Winter. Yeah. Or Final Night. Sorry, Final Night is the one.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So I really like it that way. I actually think it's a really good event, but it is funny to only read bits of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd also make the argument that as an event, it's interesting because they don't like, there's not one thing. You know what I mean? Like they don't go like, there's an earthquake, but we have to stop the burn.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, now we just deal with like, and they don't fix it by the end of the, you know what I mean? Like it's just, it's interesting as an event because I think it is very like character focused as opposed to being like the event. Like other than it being a big catastrophic thing, it's not like, oh, it's all right. We reset the fault line. Like there's no like super thing to do there, which I think is interesting. What do you think of like, because this is like sort of, if I'm placing this right, I'm pretty sure this is like 90s Batman.
Sure.
What do you think of like the art and stuff like that?
I have a question for you first.
Sure.
Is all of this event as fucking terrible as this book?
You didn't like it.
This book is so fucking bad. It's maybe one of the worst things we've ever read.
Interesting. Just because it's just like set up and you don't see where everything goes.
No, that's actually not even the problem.
Okay, hit me. What don't you like about it?
Everything. I think that is some of the worst writing I've ever seen.
Okay.
I think his like love with terrible, needless exposition, but then also like he uses such it's like it.
Pretty sure
like,
this is Chuck Dixon, right?
No, it's what is it? It's Alan something, and then
right. Sorry.
What's his name?
I should have pulled this up.
It's Mark Buckingham and Alan Grant.
Right.
It's as if ChatGPT fucking wrote this thing. It's combination of fucking
guy who only uses ChatGPT.
Look, I know where its weaknesses are. I don't use it to write fucking scripts. I use it to write fucking documents. It's balanced between flowery language as well as like some of the dumbest shit and treating it as if no one's ever read Batman before.
Okay.
Like every single page, there's writing on there that I fucking hated.
Interesting. Because
Like,
I don't dislike it, but you don't like. For example, there's this page that says the tortured roar of rock grinding on rock is done. A deathly silence hangs like a pall over the remains of Wayne Manor.
It's like fucking all right. Like
you don't like that?
No.
I don't think there's anything inherently bad about that.
A single cop sits crying. His entire world exploded by trauma he never suspected could happen in Gotham. Fuck, all right. Fucking get over yourself. Like,
so what's your alt? What's your alt pitch?
It's written like somebody who's really trying to be a writer, and but then also there's like it also feels like I'm trying to find the fucking
Okay, I will say a bit that's a little clunky is like, for example, when we catch up with Barbara, because
all the lines to the cave are down, but how? I'm like, what the fuck year was this written?
Oh, see, I wasn't thinking of that. I was thinking of the like. Fortunately, her wheelchair's power pack is freshly charged. Like, I mean, listen. At a certain point, we just got to go. Like, I don't think we needed at this moment in the story to know it was freshly charged. I think we'd just be like,
no,
it wasn't on empty when the earthquake hit. She could roll downstairs.
Matter.
It does feel like a little bit like that's how Barbara's getting around. That I agree. Even when I read it, I thought it was a little extra. But in general, I don't dislike the writing of this book.
It really bugged me.
I think the Anarchy Bullock stuff is really good.
A roar like a turbine from hell fills his ears. The stone floor of the Batcave lurches beneath his feet as thousands of tons of solid rock are violently shaken.
You're reading that? I like it. I don't dislike
so
that.
Much. It's just so much.
But what's the problem with that? Because if that was written in a different book, I feel like you would like that.
If it was written in a book, sure. What I don't want is like, don't describe the thing I'm looking at. Have dialogue and stuff like that. But I hate the fucking.
I think it would be worse in dialogue. You want it in dialogue? You want Batman to be like, "Whoa, the roar of the floor."
No. I don't want it there. What I'm saying is like, sometimes with like little.
Is your problem that it's a third person narrator? That it's not like Batman's narration boxes being like, oh my god, the roar of the floor, I had no idea this was coming. It's that it's like a third like and voice, look, like a different narrator being like, Batman never saw this coming.
And you know
what's funny?
Like, that's not a thing I'm not used to seeing in comics, right? Like that's a thing. It bothers me.
I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. Like
it's so much.
It's exposition. A totally fine reaction to not like it and have it bother you, but I'm trying to pin down like what about this did it, because it's definitely not like, I don't think the writing is actually like poor.
It feels like someone didn't trust the artist. Like that's what it feels like to me.
See, because I think the art's doing a lot of heavy lifting,
and I fucking hate the art.
You don't like the art?
I think that this guy does not know how to draw proportional like body parts at all. Like,
is there a good example?
A great example is the very first page. Like, not the cover, but the very first page.
Okay.
Look at those fucking limbs and that head, and like every time you see the head, it's a different fucking size, and it looks in one frame like it's gigantic, another one looks super tiny. Like Alfred's head is gigantic, and his hands are so big. His feet look ginormous. It is wild.
To be honest, I didn't notice that the first time. I mean, that is.
Or the next page, when bottom left-hand corner, Batman's head.
I'll give you those. I think that's fair. But I think here's my counterpoints. The panel next to that one with Batman's head.
Sure.
Like how that cape.
I also don't like that.
I love that. I love like the way, I feel like the movement of the destruction is like, I feel like it's pretty kinetic.
It feels like somebody who's...
I don't love the panel of Barbara hitting her head.
Oh,
I feel
my
like
God.
That's a little...
It feels like...
I'll give you that one.
It's in a battle between like the...
But I like, like the manor collapsing feels very, like...
It feels like a team that's in a battle between writing for the 60s and writing for the 90s. Because there are parts of it that feels like bang, pow! And there's parts of it that feel like it's trying to be a gritty 90s book.
Yeah, sure.
The coloring is fucking brutal. It looks like first like generation digital painting.
I wonder if that's something about the digital like transfer.
I don't know, because those gradients and stuff like that. I'm like, just like, get fucked.
With some of these books, when they put them on digital, you could tell they either recolor them or like something. Like they're not scans, is what I'm getting at. Like
maybe.
And because I feel that way about Golden Age stuff, where it's like, that's not what the color would have looked like. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
But it's just the best you could do on a digital version of a comic. But I'm not sure where that line is in this one, but I guess I just sort of overlook it because I'm reading it digital. I'm not just like reading the comic.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think, yeah, that's part of it. It just, for me, it feels like in some places the writing is like super sophomoric, and then other times it feels like he's trying to really like stretch his writings. And I'm like, fucking choose a lane. And then there's like this one where it's like, this may not be a great time to say that, kid, but you're under arrest. And I'm like, fucking, you're in the middle of a
no,
huge...
that's classic Bullock.
Oh my
that's
God.
Good. I like that shit. The Bullock anarchy stuff is great.
Like, look how much fucking exposition's in this. Like, how much of this is
That's not that much.
It's too much.
That's not that much. I mean, I understand that you feel that way, but like, I read a Bendis book and tell me that that's too much exposition in narration.
This, like, the drawing of his body,
that's very 90s though. I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of like weirdly nostalgic about that because like that doesn't bug me. I know. Looking at it, I know what's bugging you about it. I see it.
Yeah,
I'm not like.
It just feels like there's.
I get it. I just don't dislike it.
Sure. There's a difference for me between like 90s art, and poor drawing and poor perspective.
This is sort of late 90s though, because this also makes me think of like the early days of like Morrison JLA.
I did have a hard time.
I can't remember the exact year of this, but this is I think like late 90s. Aesthetically, late 90s, early 2000s are very similar. And this is closer to that than like, we're not talking about like Nightfall Batman.
Sure.
You know what I mean? We're not talking about 92, like Kelly Jones and stuff like that.
Sure.
We're talking about, we're starting to move towards, like, this makes me feel like closer to what shit looked like in, the Morrison JLA, like the, whatever that first arc is with the Hyper Clan.
Sure.
The art's closer to that style to me.
It just also doesn't match the tone for me, the art style. Like, it feels, especially with the coloring and things like that, but like it feels like it's this gritty story about like real trauma and things like that, but it like can't commit to that, and so like
because the colors pop too much.
The color, the writing, like everything feels like it's in contrast to itself.
Interesting.
Also, a final thing I'll mention here, which has never bothered me in any other book before.
Okay.
And again, I came into this in a good mood, and I like reading Batman.
Okay, sure. Hit me.
The lettering in this bothered me so much.
Okay.
And again, I don't know enough about how comics are made, but a thing that drives, and I'm curious to hear your perspective because I feel like you're either very pro or very against it.
Sure.
I fucking hate when words are broken in half in paragraphs.
Oh, with the dash?
I fucking hate it.
I hate it in real life. I'm used to it in comics.
I
think put it this way.
Yeah.
If I were asked to letter a thing, it would break my heart to line break a word. But I would just move the whole word. But when I read it, I'm used to it. I think it's just about that. I agree in principle though.
This one, it felt like it was happening so much in such awkward places. It's never really bothered me this much, but and again, I don't mind words where it's like, I don't know what the term is, but when it's like two words that become a single word, like a word like epicenter,
a compound word,
right? Like an epicenter, I'm okay if that is, but
if it says like center,
I'm okay with that.
Sure.
But this one, canopies, which is cano-pies, and I'm like, I can't even like confidently just like scanned through the paragraph.
It's interesting because you've probably read a bunch of other stuff that did the same thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
I probably read some. It took me out of it every fucking time because I would be like,
interesting.
No. Wait, hold on. What was that actually? What? Like, it constantly was breaking it for me.
Interesting. Again, I'm used to it, so I think I just don't think about it. But any actual intellectual thought I put into it, I hate line breaking words. I know why they did it. I get it, but
when
don't
you're
like
making the sizes of these things,
but it's different now.
Sure.
You know, like with everything being digital now. Like lettering's different too.
Because I'm like, do you draw the box and then figure out how all the words fit in? Like, I don't understand. Maybe, yeah.
I mean, you only have so much space in a panel, and you have to put it in a place that makes sense for the reading journey of it. You can't just put it like anywhere in the panel.
Sure,
too.
yeah.
So, I mean, there is an element of that.
I also hate the Batmobile in this. I hate the way it looks.
I mean, that's a very 90s Batmobile, though.
Yeah, sure. It just, again, it feels like this is like fighting.
That Batmobile looks more or less like a Keaton Batmobile,
sure,
right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's clearly that. Even Batman's in like the full black bat suit. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like we're definitely still riffing on that idea, on those movies. And stuff
I will
that.
give this one thing I did like was a lot of the panel work.
Like how they're laid out. I do like how they like crash into each other.
Some really
like,
interesting panel work.
They
in
put
this.
you off kilter. Yeah,
I love the binocular sort of look. I like when all the glass is breaking and all the frames are broken.
Yeah.
And the like all of that stuff like with Anarchy is really interesting, and I love the framework in there. That and it's really just in those segments. But otherwise, this was a fucking trash book, and I really didn't like it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and like from an art standpoint, not because I don't like.
I mean, a thing with this event, because it doesn't have one title, is like you could find that,
yeah, totally. Yeah.
From book to book, you might like wildly dislike the thing, because every book was just done by its own creative team, all kind of teaming up. So it is kind of interesting that way too.
I've disliked books because it feels misogynistic. I've disliked books because they're written in the fucking 50s and they're just dumb.
Sure.
Like I've disliked books because I think that the premise is dumb or it's too heavy-handed.
Sure.
I've never disliked a book from top to bottom this way, from like every part that came to it.
This surprises me. So I really thought this would be like fine.
So did I.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be fine. I was not, and I was just like, why am I hating this so much? But I'm like, no, these are justifiable reasons.
No,
to
I
not
mean
like
it's totally fine not to like it, but it's not what I expected.
I know.
Interesting.
It's so funny. I've read lots of 90s books.
Weird.
It's never bothered me like this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. On that note, let's talk about
Cataclysm.
Let's talk about Batman Cataclysm. We got some questions.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Jesus, this fucking note.
Look, I'm 8 years in now. I got opinion.
Yeah.
This is what you wanted.
Ugh. Now he's got to talk about that.
Yeah, let's fucking close the gate.
Yeah. No. Do you know what? I liked it better when you didn't
open the gape. Dr. Gape. First question coming to us from Facebook.
Going to the face and the book. Going to the Facebook.
From Gary Anchetta, who asks, wasn't Hitman living in Gotham at the time? Did Cataclysm affect the characters in his book? I always forget that fucking Hitman his own book. Insane.
So, I will say the Hitman title is not officially part of Cataclysm. Like, for all the books that this takes place over.
It doesn't.
Does
it just not line up?
It doesn't take place over Hitman. Now, that being said, is there a loose Hitman tie-in issue? Or like, probably.
I think there's some destruction over there. Anyways.
But it's not like, it wasn't like what I'm talking about is like, this is chapter 1. Chapter 2 happened in like Nightwing, whatever it is, 19 or something. Chapter 3 happened in Batman 500 and something.
Sure.
So a chapter of this did not happen in the Hitman title. What I will say is that, like I said, this is actually part of like a series of like bad shit that happens to Gotham in a sort of escalation over time. And one of the first ones, Batman Contagion, which is where this plague is released by the Order of Saint Dumas, which is the religious order that Azrael is a part of. They release this plague in Gotham. And in that series, Hitman does show up in an issue of Batman Chronicles and he helps fight some villain or whatever. So Hitman makes a sort of official event appearance in Batman Contagion, but as I read maybe like 20 issues of stuff into this. No, maybe a bit less than that. 14. And I didn't see Hitman yet in Cataclysm. That doesn't mean that in the Hitman title they didn't do something that touched on it, but he's not really like in the event, if that makes sense.
Wasn't like Garth Ennis working on that book too at the time?
Hitman is a Garth Ennis joint.
Is it? Oh, yeah. Wild.
But yeah, I did not go comb through the archives of Hitman.
No, you didn't want
to figure it out. But I'm sure it comes up. But no, in the chaptering of this, it doesn't cross over into Hitman.
It's so fun finding out. It's so funny finding out now that Garth Ennis was part of it. I'm like, even just a little bit that I've gotten from him in that Christmas book, I'm like, yeah, I could see that being a Garth book.
Sure, yeah.
Do you remember when we who is it that we had on the podcast and they brought up Garth and we were like, wait, hold on, you mean Garth Ennis?
Oh yeah.
What's his name from the UK?
Liam. Sure.
Liam. And he made some comment like Garth, and I remember looking at you being like,
I mean, he was name dropping huge
so funny
because he's a fucking legend, and all of his friends are legends. And
incredible. All right, let's leave Facebook and head on over to Instagram.
Now we're going to Instagram, take some questions and answer them.
Oh. Alfred Izzati asks, what did you think of the Quakemaster twist?
Okay. So
this wasn't a natural disaster?
So in Cataclysm, early on, or it's, yeah. At a certain point in Cataclysm, this character shows up called Quakemaster, who takes credit for the earthquake and demands a ransom or some shit like that.
All your oats.
The big reveal, though, is Quakemaster had nothing to do with the earthquake. It was a natural disaster. But the bigger reveal is that Quakemaster was a new dummy of the ventriloquists.
Oh.
Not Scarface. Scarface comes back in No Man's Land. But, and is all like broken and shit like that. But Quakemaster was like a different ventriloquist dummy. Weird. That was then taking credit for the thing and trying to get a ransom.
That feels like a few levels deep.
It's a few too many for my taste. To me, it doesn't do very much. Ventriloquist in No Man's Land, Scarface in No Man's Land is great. He's basically like hoarding ammo and stuff like that and using it as currency. And there's a whole kind of interesting thing of like, you know, the old Chris Rock bit about like make bullets cost more.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing in No Man's Land that's sort of like that, where like people are like, you know, give me that bread. And they're like, you're not going to shoot me. Like, that bullet's worth more than this bread. And they're like, fuck. And they're like, people are calling bluffs even in the street about it. And ventriloquist is sort of controlling the flow of ammo and stuff like that.
Interesting.
That's interesting stuff in No Man's Land. But in this, the Quakemaster thing, I think is sort of unnecessary. Like, I feel like that's the part of the event where they're like, normally an event has a villain.
Sure.
And they're like, I guess we'll do this like as a misdirect sort of thing, but it's like we should just live in this is a natural disaster. We basically didn't see it coming. We weren't ready.
That's what made this interesting.
That's fucked.
That's what the first fucking intro on the cover says.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes like just like you God takes over. There's nothing you can do.
I would say the Quakemaster thing is the weakest part of the entire Cataclysm event because the street level stuff is great. Like that Nightwing chapter 2 is like exceptional. Really, really good story. The Catwoman one's interesting, you know, seeing Azrael in there, seeing like how the Bat family mobilizes. How does Huntress get in on stuff, you know? And she's got an interesting arc into No Man's Land too and stuff like that. But it's the Quakemaster stuff, I feel like it must have been a reaction of like, normally there's like somewhere to point an event. But in this
Sure.
one, it's just like fuck. You like
We
everywhere
just
you
gotta-
look
yeah.
around, it's like fuck, and you go like, there's no direction to it. So I kind of get what the impulse of it was, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
Just sit in it. Like at a certain point, it's like you nailed it. You broke the form. Don't try to fix it.
Yeah, no,
You know,
no,
like,
no.
you know?
It was working. Stop.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's leave Instagram and head on over to Reddit.
Where everyone's nice and no one's ever mean.
From Chozodia, who asks,
Chozodia.
"Oh, fuck yeah, great song."
I've done that before, surely.
I don't know if I've ever had this person ask a question.
Chozodia?
Yeah,
I think they have.
because I wasn't paying attention.
A name that when I read it, I want to say Chodzilla,
Sure.
but it's
Yeah.
Chozodia.
Chodbani.
What's that?
Like Chobani, the yogurt.
That's like a cool reference everyone will get. You
I
fucking
think they-
bougie ass fucking yogurt eating piece of shit.
You yogurt slinging motherfucker.
Yeah, I know your type.
Yeah.
Fucking slinging your yogurt.
Silver spoon yogurt slinger.
It sounds like a slur.
It does. There's fucking yogurt slingers down the
Oh,
street.
Greece? No, I don't want to be around those yogurt,
Yogurt
slingers.
Chozodia asks, "Is there anything that you would change about Cataclysm? Oh, fucking new writer, new artist, new fucking direction.
The
Get rid
two
of fucking Quake Master.
the two big things for me is I think the Quake.
I'm Quake Master. Gonna give you some
Sorry,
Quake.
you're like a Quaker.
That's why I said the oat thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah. Pay me an oats. I'm the Quake Master.
Why does the Quaker have a transatlantic accent?
I don't know. It feels like it fits though, doesn't it?
Oh, it's a wonderful day for some baseball.
Yeah. One of us gave some baseball and some oats too.
I would
You
definitely
like oats as well.
I would definitely get rid of the Quake Master thing.
Yeah.
I think it's unnecessary. I don't think it does much. I think you could do a different version of someone trying to take advantage of the chaos. But I don't really like that. And then the other thing, like for me, is a structural one. I would make it an event book. And then any of those Bat titles that want to do like side things or tie-in stories, or maybe they just have their own story they're telling and we just know it takes place before or after, in heavy quotes, you know. Like I kind of wish it was more of like an event. It's one thing if it's like this is a crossover between Batman and Detective Comics, or even like 3 titles, like, but when there's like 9 or 10 different titles and a couple of specials, and you don't just have a main event book, that bothers me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, maybe I'm just reading Batman and Nightwing. Now, for the next 2 months, I got to pick up random ass fucking issues of like
Hitman.
Robin and, you know, whatever. And then again, you know, especially for me who thinks about this too much, it's like, where do I put that in my fucking collection?
I mean, yeah.
Now I've got to slot it in Detective Comics. That doesn't make any fucking sense. You know, like
a thing you've truly never figured out.
I've never figured it out. I may never.
Some things are, some things aren't.
It's bad.
It's upsetting.
I don't love it.
Yeah, I don't even like talking about it.
Move on. All I can say is that at least I'm not some maniac putting
All
my
right.
books fucking right to left.
Look, it's been years.
I believe in democracy.
Look, anarchy's in this book, so.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, yeah, and he's on your shelf.
All right. You fucking Bullock piece of shit.
Yeah, it's me.
I fucking, oh god, he's written. Anyways, let's go to,
What would you pick? Let's try to contain it.
Sure.
Pick 2 things you would change about that issue that you read.
The penciling?
Okay, let's try to. Narrow the scope here.
Do you mean narratively?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Why fucking knock Oracle off there just to have her to like climb back up, or like have her hit her fucking head just for her to climb back up? Like it just feels like
Yeah.
let's just throw the cripple around. Like I don't know. Like
I think that's a fair criticism.
if I'm just like, to what end? Like
Yeah, it's not like she like doesn't remember who she is, or
yes, or
or
like,
she has like brain trauma and someone's got to help
or
her,
or she can't get back up because she's thrown from her fucking wheelchair,
or that
and someone's
yeah.
got to help her.
Yeah, she falls, hits her head, gets back up, is like, oh, thank God this thing's charged.
I'm just like, truly though,
She gets out of the building and to GCPD.
Like,
She's like,
as if-
like there's no rubble.
no problem at all. Not like some special fucking Oracle like wheelchair that like has rockets.
Or she doesn't have like a spider legs chair, like
yeah. I mean, fuck,
like
yeah.
fucking Wild Wild West.
Yeah. Like Wild Wild West. Truly though, yeah,
That's a very fair point.
there's something I would change.
Sure, that's good.
Uh,
Oracle away.
it's Batman, not Superman.
Yeah. Oracle roll out.
Also, when she goes to fucking GCPD and she's like, I hope Jim Gordon isn't here. I'm like, you mean my dad?
I think that maybe the strangest thing, and maybe I'm just not remembering this era of Batman, is she rolls into GCPD, and yet people know that she's Gordon's daughter.
Yes.
But she rolls in and she's like, get me the fire department. It's like, they start taking orders from her. And I'm like, who the
you're
fuck
not
are you?
the chief of police just because
Yes.
you're related to them.
It's like, Gotham really is a corrupt city.
Like,
The daughter of the commissioner came in and just started directing firefighters. That's not even what he's commissioner of. That's...
get me the mayor.
It's just very like I like it from the perspective of everyone's doing their part. We all have a role to play. You know, like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I like it that way. But if you like just take a step back, you go like, hang on a fucking second here.
You can't. That doesn't work.
That's not how this. I can't just like walk into the RCMP office and be like, get me ambulance control.
You also can't like. For you can't show up at like a hockey game and be like, I'm the goalie.
Yeah,
Like, just 'cause
my wife's on the board.
Yeah. It's like, just because you work in sports and your wife's on the board doesn't mean
Yeah.
that you get to play the game.
But also, it's like my wife's on the board of the hockey thing, so I should ref the soccer tournament.
Yeah.
That's sort of the level of what
Yeah.
this is.
They're both sports.
Yeah. Ergo,
Yeah.
I mean, someone can correct me if I'm forgetting. Like, is she deputized? Is there a thing I'm not remembering from this era? But like, normally a comic like reminds you of stuff too. You know, like we see that
Sure.
all the time where it's
This
like,
book constantly
you know,
is doing
are
that.
you not constantly reading Batman Shadow of the Bat? Well,
Yeah.
welcome for this event. Here's the thing you need
Yes.
to know.
This book does that, except for
Yes.
there.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah.
All right, next question. From Ghost with a Pen,
Sure.
who asks, Superman helped out once in the Dixon run of Nightwing. Did other heroes help too? Also, has any other hero had something like this run happen to them?
So, the question is a fair one. Where's the Justice League? The biggest earthquake in the history of the East Coast hits the second
biggest
largest city
the second largest,
on the East Coast.
I always forget New York also exists.
Well, and Metropolis.
Oh yeah. But Metropolis is like a smaller big town, isn't it?
No, it's supposed to be pretty big.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It does change locations. Like, it has been in New York, but I think in general, Metropolis is in Delaware.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Gotham is generally in New Jersey.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Sometimes in New York. You know, these things shift.
Yeah, sure.
But generally, Gotham's in New Jersey, I think. So at any rate, the question of where is the Justice League, this feels like a sort of thing they should respond to, is fair. To the credit of Cataclysm, that entire event takes place in like maybe 2 days.
Sure.
You know, like
yeah.
like it's so many of those stories are like they back you up, and then you get to whatever it is, like 7:03 p.m. when the thing hits, and then you see what happens, and you sort of follow. Like, it's only a few days. And you're focused on these characters, so you're not really looking at the Justice League. There is by the time you get to No Man's Land, though, which leads kind of out of the impacts of this quake and the fact that Gotham had a fucking plague and all this kind of shit, the government blows the bridges, cuts off Gotham. They they tell people you have 2 days to evacuate, otherwise you're left there. You're not in the States anymore. Fuck you, basically.
If you've watched fucking the third Nolan Batman movie.
I mean, that is No Man's Land is the primary influence on The Dark Knight Rises. You know, in that one, because it's like cut off, the government forbids the JLA from going in.
Oh,
so they're actually like mandated.
And you know how they love to listen to the government.
Well, but they're the Justice League of America at that point,
that's right.
though,
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
so
sure.
they actually do like not go in. Now, Clark does go in as Clark Kent eventually,
Like as a reporter.
but Superman is forced to leave. There's some other story in there too where it's like Superman tries to help, but he's like, "This is fucked even for my powers."
Oh wow.
I can't remember what the setup is, but it's a little like.
It's been 2 days. People are eating each other.
Well, no, it's a little bit like where he goes like, I think Gotham problems need Gotham solutions. I trust the Bat family.
Just starts beating the shit out of people. Yeah.
That's what the first one. It's not, I'll leave it to you guys.
It's like time for Gotham solutions.
Spin kick. Fuck.
Just everything.
Sternum punch.
Yeah.
There's some version of basically he's like, I can't just come in here and fix this, which is sort of a cop out. But the bigger thing in No Man's Land is that they're not allowed.
Sure.
Now, as for have other characters dealt with similar things? Listen, Metropolis has been attacked. There have been like attacks, and they have to recover from it. Sub Diego, I mentioned it earlier.
Great example.
Huge example. You know, like where. Like the city sinks and a bunch of people end up being fucking aquatic for a bit, and Aquaman all of a sudden has to deal with it. That's a great example. Star City got bombed to shit by Prometheus. Coast City got destroyed by Cyborg Superman, a Mongol, and then had to like rebuild. Now, we don't really focus on Coast City or the rebuilding, really. We focus on Hal going crazy, becoming Parallax, and then something else for a bit. But in the world of the DC universe, these things did happen and had to get dealt with, and Coast City did get rebuilt. Now, unfortunately, in those kind of stories, we don't really like see a ton of that. Cataclysm puts us right on the ground,
Sure, yeah.
as it's happening, like all of the trauma of it. So it's a little different that way from a lot of those. Even Sub Diego, we should kind of show up after and then help out. But it's different. So it's probably the best example of it. I don't know that there's another like really solid one like that.
Except for like Justice
I mean,
League
sometimes
stuff.
Themyscira gets fucking blown up or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I think
that one
yeah.
I was talking about, the fucking freezing one.
Final Night.
Yeah.
I mean, Final Night's at least you're on the ground. And Final Night is sort of marked by the same kind of like, it's very personal.
It's a natural disaster, and the heroes are just trying to help people.
And because there's not much they could do about it. So it is more personal. It's a pretty good comparison too.
Yeah. All right, next question, which means we're leaving Reddit and heading over to the Discord.
Fuck.
Yep, Discord.
Hang on. Just fucking give me a second.
You got all the seconds in the world.
You could dox 100 scores in bars.
Oh.
Another dox score just to dox it.
Yeah, I don't know. Get to the chorus.
I don't know. That's Good Luck, Babe. Is that
Yeah.
one? Chapel
Good
Roan?
luck, Docs, or Doc scored, babe.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Either. You take
2 weeks of Chapel Roan.
fucking dude. I'm deep.
Easy.
That whole album
Good album.
is a great album. Every single song. Oh,
Do you know what I just went back to today as an album? This is going to be a very me thing to bring up.
I mean,
It's not new, obviously.
Obviously.
I went back to it.
Yeah. But also it's you.
Stephen Page's first solo album.
Christ.
His first solo album, The Vanity Project. Fucking good. It holds up, man.
I mean, I don't really like Stephen Page, so...
It's a good album.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a guy people have heard of.
All right. Chapel Roan.
Who?
First question from the marvelous Ryan, who asks, is Cataclysm better than its immediate sequel? And yes, this is a trick that is not referring to No Man's Land.
So the trick here, quote unquote, is that there's an event called Aftershocks that happens right after Cataclysm. Now, in collected editions, Aftershocks is either lumped in with No Man's Land or lumped in with Cataclysm. It's never collected on its own.
Interesting.
So I think more often than not, it's in with Cataclysm because it's about the same thing.
Sure.
Aftershocks, I would say, is a worse version of Cataclysm.
Sure.
We are past the initial devastation. But it is still kind of like different perspective, different stories, although you're starting to get more villains. Now it's about like who's going to take advantage. Cataclysm is so much about the like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Aftershocks is supposed to be a little bit about like, and now what do we do with it?
Sure.
And starting that, there's a Clayface story that I don't really love. Or Clayface and Mr. Freeze are in one issue. It's just kind of weaker. It's not as strong of a premise, and I think it's because it's not as novel. The thing with the earthquake and the initial is, it's like Jonathan Kent dying of a heart attack. It's like all your powers can't do shit for this. And I kind of love that, like Batman, all of his toys are trashed. He's stuck in the fucking cave. He has to scuba out, and he might not make it. And like there's all like, it's a real flattening of the privilege and the skill even and all that kind of stuff. So Aftershocks is sort of just a weaker version of it, but it is technically different. Like if you look at the covers of these things, Cataclysm had this big Cataclysm down the left hand side. It would say part 1 or whatever. Aftershocks had its own thing, technically a different event. But I think it's totally reasonable to just lump it in as part of Cataclysm because it's all about the earthquake and aftermath,
totally.
Right?
Well, speaking of how the villains responded to it, Only Just Dan Dunn asks,
okay.
You're a free agent crook, and the Cataclysm just happened. Which of the gangs do you think at the time would suck the least to work for in No Man's Land?
In the first arc of No Man's Land, they actually draw you a map of Gotham City. And they show how it's broken up into sort of gangs. So again, Cataclysm happens, Aftershocks happens, then there's like a road to No Man's Land, and then No Man's Land. In No Man's Land, like I say, you see this sort of map of Gotham. So Mr. Freeze has territory. Two-Face has territory. The Penguin has territory. Poison Ivy has Robinson Park, and she's been taking in orphans and looking after them. Mm-hmm. Eventually, the Bat has territory, but he's sort of been missing for a bit because Bruce Wayne was in Washington, D.C. being like, don't kick Gotham out.
Yes.
So there's like some shit like that. The Ventriloquist has territory. The GCPD is a gang that has territory. And
I mean, they already were, but yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah. Fucking nail them.
The nail of them.
Oh, my God. I mean, it does bring out the worst in some of the... I mean, we're veering into No Man's Land, but it does bring out the worst in some of the cops. I can't remember the one cop's name, but he's like, yeah, there's no law anymore, right? So we can just, like, fucking execute criminals, right? He's like too into it. And Gordon has to be, like, fucking chilling. He's like, but what if I get to shoot one between the eyes?
Just like, fucking Jesus Christ.
So, which gang would I want to be a part of? I mean, the Two-Faces gang gains a lot of ground early, but then that kind of fucks up. I would argue probably for Penguin, maybe. The Penguin is pretty ruthless. He's a tough guy to work for, but Penguin's good at playing all sides.
Of course.
Selling info to the Bat, or, working with the criminals, or having a pipeline to the outside. Pretty sure Luthor is involved, but like Penguin can get arms and shit from outside Gotham. I might work for Penguin. That's my feeling. What about you?
I mean, Ivy.
Yeah, I don't think she was just taking in like thugs. She was sort of like looking after orphans and otherwise just took over the park. I don't think like you roll up and Ivy's like, "Oh, I need you here."
I think she would.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, or the cops.
Hell yeah, that's the Richard. That's the Richard I know. A CAG.
That's right. All cops are good.
Yeah, yeah.
Next question from Mars D95, who asks, what absent villain would you like to have shown up, ignoring that he was dead at the time, and it would have been interesting to see Deacon Blackfire try to capitalize on this mayhem?
Deacon Blackfire would be neat. Yeah. So technically, you see the Joker and a couple of other ones. There's like a one shot during Cataclysm inside Arkham Asylum, and you see a bunch of them in there, like Zaz and Joker and some shit like that. But for the most part, Joker is missing, or not a big part of the events of this story. Even in No Man's Land, Joker is just starting to show up. Like, he doesn't have territory at the start of No Man's Land. And then he starts, causing problems and things like that. You do see Two-Face and Penguin. Riddler flees Gotham. I don't know if he's already out of Gotham when the earthquake hits or if he leaves later, but the Riddler is like a non-factor in all of this, which is sort of interesting. Freeze is obviously stuck in there. Croc is stuck in there. Clayface shows up in Aftershocks. Ventriloquist is obviously in there. Maybe he's in a one shot and I'm not remembering, but Firefly might be interesting. Like the city, like all the ruptured gas mains and like the electricity sparking them and the city burning feels like it would be an interesting opportunity, even just for a one shot or something, to like just see. This is sort of Firefly's end game, like Gotham burns. You know what I mean?
Sure. What
does it mean for like? I would be interested in a little bit of a Firefly story, maybe. Yeah, I could see that being interesting. There's maybe a version of this where. Who else at this time?
Harley?
I don't know if Harley'd made the jump to comics yet.
Oh, sure.
I'm not sure that she had.
What about Croc?
Croc is there. He might be in that Arkham one shot. And he shows up more later in other things, like in No Man's Land, and that you see Croc. Scarecrow is relatively quiet, I think, through this. He might be in that Arkham one shot, but Scarecrow's relatively quiet through Cataclysm.
Sure.
He might be an interesting one to have out there.
Victor Zaz?
Zaz is there. He's in Arkham.
Sure.
You do see him.
Yeah.
At some, but again, he's not like out on the street so much.
That feels like.
Some of them do escape though. Like Cluemaster and a few like minor, like Blackgate ones that weren't sent to Arkham, but some Blackgate villains, they get out at one point. And they're running about. It's funny because I would say, generally speaking, some of the big ones aren't really factors, even if they technically appear. Joker, Scarecrow, Riddler, largely non-factors in Cataclysm. Freeze, too. really, it's not until Aftershocks that Freeze shows up. So you are kind of seeing more of the weirder side of things, I would say. Although, again, Cataclysm, so much of it is about just dealing with the actual earthquake, that even when you see Bane and stuff like that, you're kind of like, yeah, but you're like over there with Azrael.
Sure.
Like, there's not like a villain really to this. The ventriloquist is the closest you get. So,
all right. Next question from Fingerstripes13.
nice.
Who asks, did Cataclysm set the precedent of pulling Nightwing back from Bloodhaven for Batman or Gotham-centered shenanigans, therefore eventually leading to Nightwing getting shot in the head in a damn Batman title while he had his own book?
Wow, we're trying to blame Cataclysm for Rick Grayson. That seems cruel. I mean, Nightwing is on issue like 19 or... No, I'm getting that wrong. Let's have a little look here. That second issue of Cataclysm is a Nightwing book. And that one is... Hang on a sec here. That one is... Yeah, it's Nightwing 19. I was right. That's the 19th issue of Nightwing.
Wow.
I think ever.
Jeez.
I think that's the first volume of Nightwing. Someone might correct me. That I might be wrong there, but actually I probably am. This might be a different Nightwing series, but at any rate, it's issue 19 of Nightwing. It's like pulling him back to Gotham is relatively early, I would say. Like he's sort of just getting set up in Bloodhaven. These are relatively new developments. But the Bat family does this, right? Like they will come when called, I know we're trying to blame Rick Grayson on this. I don't know that that's fair. Damian goes on world adventures and then comes back to Gotham. We're not, blaming... Well, we can blame other shit on Damian. Alfred's death, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if I was reading Nightwing at the time, if I would see this as a big step backwards, though.
Sure.
If I'm 19 issues into a brand new Nightwing series and he's in a new city and he's doing his own thing, and then he goes back to Gotham.
Yeah.
Do I go, or do I go, of course he does. And, how's he going to
cool,
step
like
up?
I wanted to see Nightwing in Gotham, yeah.
Like, I don't know which way I would feel about that. Maybe I would feel differently. It doesn't bother me. And actually, the most recent issue of the current Nightwing book that I've read is the first time I think that I've ever seen this reversal, which is Dick is... He's gone to Nanda Parbat on like a spiritual journey, and that sort of Heartless in Bloodhaven is sort of like taking everything from him, tearing down the idea of Dick Grayson as this philanthropist and stuff like that, and framing him for murders. And while he's gone, Bruce is like, Bloodhaven needs its hero. I'll be Nightwing.
Oh, geez.
So Bruce is now like a thing that Dick has done for Batman, or when Batman's missing, someone has to be the Bat. And I think the first time, unless someone points something else out to me, Bruce is like, I'll be Nightwing.
Wow.
He's too important to not have him in Bloodhaven.
Oh, that's so cool.
Which I kind of fucking love.
Yeah,
And maybe it's too long coming, but I do like actually seeing the reciprocity now. Maybe that also softens how I feel about seeing Nightwing go to Gotham, because now I know eventually at some point someone returns the favor.
Sure. Yeah, I get that.
But it doesn't bother me. I don't think it's fair to blame Rick Grayson on it. It's funny though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Final question from Drago, the Black Rose, who asks, would you call Cataclysm essential Batman reading? Where does it rank in your favorite Batman stories?
I would,
really,
but in the context of this run, even if you didn't want to throw Contagion and Legacy in that come before it, basically Cataclysm through No Man's Land, I think is like you pretty much have to read it. I would, a more modern one that I would put in that category is the Court of Owls stuff.
Of course.
Like the full Court of Owls thing from the New 52 is quite a number of issues. A few volumes of trades, but I would put Cataclysm through No Man's Land as like, you could just say No Man's Land, but I do think it helps having
The context,
this chapter of it, the initial like fuck, like even though you don't have the context all the way back to Contagion, I do think having Cataclysm helps. I think Cataclysm is good. I know you didn't have a great experience with this one issue I gave you to read, but I think Cataclysm is good. I think it's doing something interesting. Even when it fumbles, it's mostly interesting.
Sure.
Aftershocks was like, whatever. But for the most part, that whole saga of like Gotham destroyed and cut off and like turned into a sort of Escape from New York hellscape kind of thing. I mean, a thing that is adapted in its own way for Arkham City.
Totally. Yeah.
If you don't think that that's what that is, that's
no.
absolutely No Man's Land,
Totally.
Even down to like, where is Two-Face? Oh, he's holed up in the courthouse. Like, that's straight out of fucking No Man's Land.
Sure.
I think that whole thing is absolutely essential Batman reading. I would put it up there with Dark Knight Returns. I would put it up there with Court of Owls.
Sure.
I'd put it up there with Nightfall. Yeah, I don't see, especially for the era, it's like extremely good.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and again, it's something a little different. It's like a total like Batman has a line somewhere in Cataclysm where he's like, or possibly even No Man's Land actually, where he comes back to Gotham. It might actually be in No Man's Land. But somewhere he has a line where he's like, fuck, it took me like 2 hours to get across the city. I don't know this city anymore. All the rooftops, all the shortcuts, all the alleys, they're gone. He's like, I actually am on the back foot in Goth. Like, in the way that Court of Owls did that by being like, oh no, we've been here the whole time and you didn't know.
Yeah.
You sort of pull the rug out from under Batman, the stuff that he takes for granted. And it's one of those great stories that strips him back down to like, what is the Bat about?
Yeah.
And in Cataclysm specifically, it's a little bit, because it's the mayhem of the earthquake just happened. It's a lot of this like, save someone, I'm Batman, blah, 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 blah. By the time you get to No Man's Land, when he like returns to Gotham, it's like reinventing the myth of Batman. He has to like, literally go and like be seen doing stuff so that people know he's real again.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's a true, like, he has to rebuild the Bat as a myth, which is interesting too.
Crazy.
I think that whole thing as a unit is absolutely essential reading. I think Cataclysm is a great read and people should do it anyway. But like, really, if you want the most satisfaction out of it, you got to see it through to No Man's Land, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that was the last question. And if you want to continue this discussion about Cataclysm, about No Man's Land, about Aftershock, maybe, you don't really need to, though. You can send your questions to our various social media platforms.
Dr. DC Podcast, wherever you find us.
And if you want to be fun and part of our online forum, we've got that, and subscribe.
Patreon.com/DrDC. There's a $1, $5, $7 level. They all give you access to the Docscord, our amazing Discord fan community. At the higher levels, you get the double dose. There's still one last episode of Eat Gist coming this month.
Wild.
And at the higher levels, there are episodes of bonus series, rewatch series like Toretto Talks and Bonding Time and Cerebros. We're in the little like gap right now while I plan the next series and what that's going to be.
Do you know what it is?
I have a couple of ideas.
Sure.
I think I know what it's going to be.
It's really just about who do you pull in?
Kind of, but I'm also trying to I think I want like a shorter one and then I have a longer one planned.
Because you haven't done something with is Kelly McNeely.
Yeah. That's true.
So
That's true, actually. Fuck. Now I've got to throw. I was so close to having it nailed down.
feels like a thing that you guys need to do.
That's true. I was thinking. Well, I'll just say it. I was thinking of doing pirates.
Like,
not the porn,
Oh,
like the
oh,
Pirates
oh,
of the
oh.
Caribbean.
I was like, that's just one episode.
Because it's just 5.
One
it's like
awkward episode.
What's awkward?
Me
about
and
it?
you watching Pirates.
We jerked off the whole time.
just quiet patters the whole fucking episode.
Yeah.
The whole episode. Yeah, fucking
Yeah, I'm sure.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
yeah. It's 2 minutes of quiet patters and then a lot of apologies.
A lot of crying.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of that helps to support us. So patreon.com/DrDC. Give us your money.
Yeah.
How do you think Richard affords duck breast every week?
Smoked duck breast.
Sorry, duck tit. Only the finest duck tits.
Only the sweetest duck tits you can get your fucking paws on.
You see the rack on that duck?
Oh my god, those tits go on for miles.
Oh my yeah.
That's
Those tits go on for
Ciao.
Adios.
Heroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure.